Is death cult dynamics a sort of Ponzi scheme? One operates in the realm of politics or belief, the other in economics. However, certain parallels emerge in how both systems sustain themselves and recruit followers. A Ponzi scheme is fundamentally dependent on continuous inflow. New participants are required to sustain the illusion of success and to pay off earlier participants. Similarly, destructive ideological systems, especially those described as death cults, often rely on constant recruitment and escalation. These systems promise participants a form of future reward: glory, salvation, national revival, or historical destiny. However, like the promised financial returns in a Ponzi scheme, these rewards are frequently unrealistic or indefinitely deferred. Another parallel lies in the manipulation of belief. Ponzi schemes depend on trust in the organizer and the narrative of success, even when evidence is thin or contradictory. Participants are often encouraged to ignore warning signs and to double down on commitment. In extremist ideological systems, this dynamic can manifest as propaganda, suppression of dissent, and reinforcement of a closed worldview. Followers may be urged to reject external information and rely solely on the internal logic of the movement, even when it leads to self-destructive outcomes. Escalation is another shared feature. In a Ponzi scheme, as obligations grow, the operator must take increasingly risky or deceptive steps to keep the system afloat. Similarly, destructive regimes or movements may escalate their actions, intensifying repression, conflict, or violence, to maintain control and sustain the narrative that justifies their existence. Each step deeper makes it harder for participants to disengage, both psychologically and materially. There is also the issue of sunk costs. In both systems, individuals who have invested heavily, whether financially, emotionally, or morally, may continue supporting the system long after its flaws become apparent. The fear of losing everything or admitting error can lock participants into a cycle of continued commitment, even as the system becomes more unstable. Finally, both structures tend to have catastrophic endpoints. Ponzi schemes collapse when new inflows cannot meet obligations. Likewise, systems built on unsustainable promises, coercion, or perpetual conflict often face crises when it becomes obvious that the reality is far from the narrative. The collapse can be sudden or gradual. Political systems and financial frauds differ in context, scale, and ethical dimensions. They do share patterns: dependency on recruitment, control of information, escalation, and unsustainability. And that is why they ultimately fail.